Well, welcome to Simon NoChaNoMa. I don't see anybody in comments. Night Riders Gal and UFO Bob over there on the West Coast have gone to bed. Quite rightly, it's very early over there. Welcome to the show. If there's anybody watching at all, I don't know. I just could be talking to myself. I could be a Dalek. I don't know how I'm sounding because I was having a little bit of struggle with the old microphone before. But anyway, welcome. Here I am back in the living room with the wine and no company, it seems. But hopefully that will change. I didn't spam anybody today. I thought, perhaps if you wanted, you could just click on the link and not get it in your messenger feed. But anyway, yes, so I was away last week. Did you miss me? Probably not. I don't know. But I was on my holidays. I still am on my holidays. I've got another week or so to go. Yeah, and couldn't really go anywhere due to the current situation, other than within Belgium itself. So last week I went with my sons to the Ardennes, which I'd done the year previously, but this year I decided to go to another area. I was originally going to go to the same area, but then sort of the terrible weather happened that has caused such disaster. And so I quickly changed to an area that I thought would be better, but it turned out that the week that just before I was about to go, it was disaster weather there too, and I was getting a bit concerned. But in the end, it turned out all right. On the day itself, everything had cleared up, and it was all back to normal, relatively speaking. But I'll be later. I'll be showing you the results of that. If anybody turns up, if nobody turns up, I may end the stream early. You may not get much to see. It's a bit difficult maintaining a monologue, even with a glass of wine, to keep things flowing. I was just chatting before with my photographer friend Kaz from Tokyo. He's been out for the day in Enoshima with some other YouTube friends who live around there, and it looked from his photographs, it looked very nice there. He's on the way home on the train, slightly the worse for wear for drink. So if you're watching, Kaz, hello. And Chuck, I didn't send you a link. I might send you a link later, but if you and your mother are sat down watching, hello. If anybody's watching, make yourselves know. There doesn't appear to be anybody watching. I could be just like blathering into nothingness. Oh well. Well, what I'll do for those who may be watching after the event, I will go into the other thing, and you can see. There we go. Oh, somebody's joined. Hello, somebody. Nice to see you. Oh. I forgot to do. I've got my green screen going wrong there. Hang on. Let's have a chroma key. Yes, there we are. I'm as it were back in the Ardennes. Oh, somebody popped in and popped out again. All right. Oh well, never mind. But so last Saturday it was. It seems ages ago now, but I think I made an advert announcement, which you all saw, and I was making it, waiting for my sons to come and pick me up. And for the first time in the history of going on holiday with my sons, they were going to drive me, or my eldest son did, and drove me to our destination. And it was a beautiful sunny day, as you can see in the photograph here. Most of the journey was basically motorway, so I didn't take any photographs of that. MDA 87. Hello, MDA 87. Do I know you, MDA 87? Have you changed your name recently? You'll probably tell me, oh, it's so-and-so, or it could just be a new viewer. Welcome, new viewer. We are currently in Belgium, and this behind me is the village of Krupe, which is in the province of Namur, which is in Wallonia, which is south of me. It's basically it's in the French-speaking part. It's in the Ardennes. This is where I went last Saturday, and my son drove for about an hour and a half. We came off the motorway and went down some lovely twisty, windy, and rather rough roads, and got to this village. Village I'd actually been to 6 years previously on my own, and made a video of. But and I was concerned that perhaps it wouldn't be as good as it was then, but it was. We parked up. We found an easy place to park, and went for a walk. And if I just set this going now, because this is the gatehouse to a rather sort of nice. Hang on, playlist. A rather nice 15th century fortified tower, which is sort of the high point of this village, really. It's when you live in Belgium and you live in the north here, it's all kind of flat, and you've got the lovely historic cities like Antwerp and Ghent and Bruges, but in between, it's all kind of like meh, and built up, and industrial estates, and suburbia. And there we are. That's the fortified tower of the village of Krupe. And it looks very. My friend in Tokyo, when I showed her pictures of it, she said, "Oh, it looks very new." Well, yes, the 6 years ago it was covered in scaffolding, and they were busy restoring it. So they've taken all the old off, the old dirt, and so that's what it would have looked like when it was built fresh in the 15th century. And there's an adjoining sort of buildings, farmhouse buildings, and so on. So that's it's rather nice with it's moated. It's in a kind of like when I went there 6 years ago, all that water had gone. They drained it because they were restoring it, and it looked a bit muddy. But that's because of the terrible weather they had just before. Hey, Perk. So we're in Wallonia, or in the Ardennes, and this is typical Ardennes scenery with these sort of thickly wooded hills and little valley villages. So it was very nice, nicely restored, I think. Takes you back to the 15th century. I don't know, but it was a lovely day. It wasn't too warm. It looks quite warm, but it was about 23 degrees and not too humid. But as I say, the water there was kind of brown. Usually it wouldn't reflect a nice blue sky. But those are my sons there. The one with the dark hair is the one who drove. And we walked down past the tower and towards the village, or the bottom end of the village. And next to us was a stream. Normally a nice, calm, babbling brook. But the week before, it had been raining terribly, and it caused major disasters in parts of Europe, and you could see from the raging torrent that was the brook that it had happened here too. But luckily it had subsided by the time we got there. And this is the village. These buildings are not as old as the tower, but they're made of obviously similar stone, so they have a similar look. These are, I think, 18th and 19th century. It's a very pretty village. It's actually sort of, yeah. We had lots of flooding too. Yes, quite a few people died. There was a minute's silence yesterday for those that died. You wouldn't think it. I wouldn't have thought when I got there. I thought, it had been terrible weather right up until the day that we arrived. And when you got there, it just looked like nothing had happened, apart from the fact that the people living in the village you could see sort of like their mops and buckets, and there was containers full of like damaged rubbish. And the water, as I say, in this stream next to the village was just a raging torrent, and it smelled of heating oil, because obviously the water had gone into cellars and garages and people's houses, and all the gunk from their heating devices had gone into it and gone into and flowed into the beck. So walking down this wasn't a particularly nice smell walking down towards the village. But it looked all right. This is looking back from where we just walked. As you can see, it's all tucked in lovely scenery. And you've got the Komorebi with the sunlight coming through the trees. There's quite steep hillsides covered in trees. And at a certain point, my sons and I decided we'd go off into the woods and get a bit more of an interesting walk going. And it was starting to get a little bit warm, so the tree shade was appreciated. Hang on, what's the next slide? There we go. There we are. Me with this before my haircut, and a rare smile from my youngest son in the background there, just as we headed into the woods. Not sure whether they'll appreciate me showing him on YouTube. Hang on. Yes, and there was you could see that this had normally been a small stream on the surface, but the heavy rains had basically, for the whole week, had just sliced through the earth. And you can see the exposed rock there. I did have a little video of it just sounded like a very gentle stream coming down, but you could see that they'd been cutting down trees and clearing the road at the bottom. There you can just see the water in between coming down in the forest path. But yes, if you go to that area of Belgium, I highly recommend it. There's the capital of the French-speaking part. There's a small town there, or large town called Namur, and that's a nice place. And here we are on the walk, and my sons are investigating beetles. Actually, beetles that were sort of emerging from the earth. My son kept spotting them, and then we noticed that they were like just coming out of the ground, little black beetles. So we're there looking at them. Bit of nature for you. So it was a really nice, sort of really lucky, sunny weekend. Not too warm, not like a couple of years ago when it was like 40 degrees. This was just pleasant. More beetles. I mean, yes, with the woodland there, the major industry, one of the major industries there is obviously forestry. So as we walked along this road here, there were piles of trees, and they had barcodes on them. Trees that have been cut down and stripped, and waiting for collection. And they had a little barcode sticker on. And I joked with my sons, imagine getting that supermarket. But there are two levels to the village of Croupe. As you can see, it's that was my son there for scale. That's I mean, compared to where I live now at the moment, everything here is only like a few meters above sea level. But there in the south of Belgium, it's quite Ari what? Ari something. I can't read. Yeah, I've forgotten all my katakana perk. You have to translate that for me. I don't know whether you can't really see it here, but there's a little right up there next to the tree is a little statuette. There it is. Yeah, just next to my head, little statuette of Mary, Virgin Mary, carved out in the rock face. It's rather bizarre because, as you see, they've cut down all the trees here, and you can see it now. So prior to that, it was like invisible. This is the top end of the village, and again, that sort of creamy sandstone. Ardennes. 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 Okay. So it reminded me a lot of parts of England and Scotland. You're forcing yourself to learn katakana. But actually, this is the curiously. I mean, you had the 15th century fortified tower down below, but that was a later addition to the village. The older part of the village, which dates back even older, is the top end. But I don't think there's much left from the very early. There's just 18th and 19th century buildings now. I like that with the sort of like cottage garden, very very English cottage gardeny. Especially that one. It also looks a bit French. Have you ever been to the US before, MDA 87? No, I haven't actually. My parents have. They did a world tour once, and stopped in New York, and they've been to Canada. But no, I've not. I've got friends there that I could potentially go and visit. But I have friends in Japan, and it's like Japan, America, Japan. Kind of not sure. But no, I've not been to the US. This is the church of Krupe. I think it's slightly older than the tower down below. So are you from the US, MDA 87? And this is one of the highlights. Apparently, if you look up on TripAdvisor, what are the things to see in Krupe, and they'll tell you about the tower, and they'll tell you about this. Hang on, I'll pause this and try and zoom it in. Hang on, go there, go to zoom image, zoom. It's a grotto built by some priest chappie in the 19th century or the early 20th century. It's huge. It's just piles and piles of rocks with sort of Christian figures tucked in. It's rather bizarre, but quite spectacular. North Dakota. I'm not familiar with that area. Indian country. And this is looking down from the top of the village to the tower. And that's basically all there is to the village of Krupe. There's actually a Jaguar car museum as well, which has got like half a dozen vintage Jaguar cars in it. It's rather bizarre that it's just suddenly in this village. So basically, once we'd done that, we went back to the car. There we are, going back to the car. That's my son's blue Toyota. And luckily, there was air conditioning because it was starting to get quite warm. As you can see, it's quite sunny there. A Calvary, yeah, kind of like a Calvary kind of thing, perk. People go there and be inspired, presumably. But once we'd done the walk, we had a bit of time left to before we had to were able to check in at where we were staying. So I'd marked out a little driving tour for my son to do, and I just sat there and took pictures out of the window, which is rather good. So this is typical Ardennes landscape there, especially when you get on the top. It's kind of rolling, and then the river valleys, they just cut through, and you get the steep-sided hills. And this is the biggest river. This is the river that flooded, actually, or almost flooded, or caused floods in nearby towns and villages. This is the River Meuse. It looks quite innocent at the moment, but it was quite high up, right to the banks, almost. As you can see, it's cut through the landscape, and you've got these big cliffs, limestone cliffs here. And it's kind of like I said, if you're familiar with the north of Belgium, it's quite sort of, you feel like you're on holiday when you go to the Ardennes, because it doesn't quite look like Belgium. But yes, it also looks a lot like England and Scotland. So I get a kind of a nostalgic feel when I go there. It's just a bit of a trek trying to get there, like 2 hours driving, which is nothing for Americans, I know, but the motivation to go there. And then we arrived at the accommodation, the Gîte de la Prieure, Prieuré, I should say, which is a converted farmhouse. We got the converted bit, which is, where are we? That bit there. And it wasn't too bad. It's only like €100 for 3 adults for one night. I mean, self-catering, but and that's what it looks like inside. The lady that runs it, she's into antiques and restoring old furniture, so it's full of old tables and chairs and stuff. Very fitting. And there were some bedrooms next to that, and a bathroom and whatnot. Quite comfortable. And I got a free bottle of wine. Well, not free. I mean, it was complimentary. So I was happy. Hey, Esther. Is this your first time? I don't know. First time on my show. Hi, Esther. So yes, this is the nice bit of the Gîte. So the lady bought it and has been restoring it. So behind that is a sort of a courtyard area. And looking out of my bedroom window, there was all stuff that had been torn out of all the old buildings piled up in the yard. So this is the nice bit, and it will be very nice, presumably, when they're finished and all of it. But now and this is the little terrace or table I had, very cozy. My son's one of my sons went for a walk around the village, and the other one just sat on his phone. Hey, Nancy! All right, you can lurk. You can lurk. You'll be the mod squadder. You'll be our token mod squadder because the Night Riders girl had to go to bed, and UFO Bob, who is only in Japan Go modder, he's asleep as well. So, but you'll represent in case unless Cobrat suddenly turns up. Or Mindy's mom, you never know. It's the Ardennes, yes. This is the city of Namur, the capital of the French-speaking part of Belgium. We went to my sons and I went to this. I'd like checked it out. Le Peanuts, it's called. Very French. It's like a cafe restaurant place, tucked away in a sort of cozy with terraces and so on in the city. It was very expensive for what it was, I thought. But yes, it's sort of kind of touristy, so you get a bit fleeced when you do that sort of thing. But it was it was all right, and I had my favourite Belgian beer, an Orval from the Abbey beer, brewed by monks or brewed under license for monks. Hello, Richard. ND is here. Richard ND. Richard R. ND is here. Okay, welcome, Richard R., otherwise known as ND. We are currently in Belgium with beer. Well, I'm here in Belgium in real life with wine, but that was me a week ago in the Ardennes. This is the cathedral of Namur. It's not a very big town, but it has a cathedral, which makes it a city. My sons and I were discussing this. What makes a city? In Belgium, you call the name for the word for a city is stad, which is also the same word for town. But in English, a city is defined by having at least a cathedral and a certain number of, like, a certain population. Oh, here's a friend of yours. Hi. Oh, hi, Taka. Oh, we've got we've got lots of Americans in today. Hello, Ty, and Richard. Richard, MDA 87. Say hello to each other. MDA 87 is from Dakota, Ty. I'm not quite sure where that is in relation to you. Yes, we got Shime. That's one of my favorite, Richard. Yes, Shime. even for Belgian beer, it's quite expensive. Sometimes treat myself to it. Chimay Blue, which is sort of the brown one, I think. I quite like 9%. Sometimes get that. I've been here for 25 years, so I've been through a lot of beer. But Chimay was my favorite. Yeah. Yeah, as I said, this is afterwards. I went for a stroll. This is the courtyard area. They've still got to do it up of the gîte. This is after we came back from the meal, and I just had a wander in the evening. It's near the end of it. I'll finish. I'll stop boring you with my slides shortly because the last shot is coming up, which looks kind of autumny to me. It was July, just last Saturday actually. But to my eye, those trees in the background look like they're about to turn and could go sort of all like autumny colours any moment. Although it's usually about October that happens. But it surprised me that they were already starting to turn in July. So that was the end. Basically, that was the end of my slideshow. I didn't actually do a show last week because I was having too much fun walking with my sons. And as I said, we went to that restaurant and had a meal, and then sort of sauntered back. And the day after, we went for another walk. We sort of got up lazily and late morning, and then left the accommodation and went for another walk somewhere else, and then just drove back home. That was the end of my holiday. I'm still on holiday. Every year, 2 weeks I get because my work closes down because it's associated with the building trade. And in Belgium, every year for about 3 weeks of the year in summer, the building trade shuts down, and so anybody is employed in that area has to take their holidays at that time. And of course, with the current situation, there's not a lot of places to go. So I went to Bruges actually yesterday. Not yesterday. Thursday, I think. Thursday. I went to Bruges on Thursday. If you look at my Instagram, you can see the pictures there, or my Facebook. So that was nice. I forced myself to go to Bruges. Oh, terrible. Not much good beer in Spain, is there? Oh. I know. And is that sort of more like a lager beer, the Mahu or Alhambra? I know. I don't imagine. I can't imagine sort of Spanish beers. Spanish beers always kind of seem. I imagine them to be kind of light. Yes, I won't bore you with my pictures of Bruges. If you want to see pictures of Bruges, just go onto my Instagram. But it was a lovely sunny day. Today's grey, and they're threatening. I was thinking of going out and about and somewhere, but thunderstorms are predicted after a week of sunshine. I haven't really sort of going into getting guests at the moment, but UFO Bob, who you may notice further up in the comments, who is now asleep, messaged me, and he's come up with a potential guest for me. So hopefully we'll get something out of that. That'll be for probably next month. And next Saturday, I do have a guest, two, in fact. My friend Ingrid, who has been on the show before, a Japan specialist from Holland. She'll be joining me live from the most or the town with the largest Japanese population in Holland. She'll be going there, and one of her new friends, a Japanese lady, will be joining her, and they will go into a market there live with us to pick up Japanese food articles. Bruges is a nice city. South Dakota has Mount Rushmore. North Dakota has the oil. Am I going to watch the Olympics, Perk? Well, I had a very nice experience yesterday. I never in my life bothered watching the Olympic opening ceremony ever. But obviously, with my interest in Japan and the fact that it was in Tokyo, I was curious about it. Plus, my best friend in Nihonbashi messaged me and said, "Are you watching it?" And I said, "Well, I'll go and switch my computer on and watch it." And we watched together, which was rather nice. We were commenting on all the various teams' outfits. So yes, I watched the entire Olympic opening ceremony, which is very good considering. I've just been reading this morning actually what the original opening ceremony was supposed to have been, with Super Mario and Akira and all that kind of thing. Nothing like that with the new one, but still, it was very good, I thought. But yes, and I dutifully watched. I watched this. What did I watch this morning? I watched doubles archery. random. It was one of the things on one of the Belgian channels that were showing live. I wasn't interested in the football. I wasn't interested in men's gymnastics and certainly not in cycling. So I clicked on the doubles archery, Mexico versus Turkey, and Mexico won. Fortunately, it only lasted for about 10 minutes. So I didn't get too bored. And just before while I was waiting for the show to start, I just had to see what else was on. Dressage. Making a horse dance, basically. And just before the show started, the first competitor went in, and there he was, all neatly dressed in his riding outfit, and the horse was clopping. And I thought, I'm not going to watch that. Fencing, yeah. I will dip in. I've got time. I'm on my holidays. I've got nothing else to do. I shall dip in. UFO Bob did a quiz on YouTube and said, "Who's going to watch the Olympics?" And I said, "Yes, I would." But then I qualified it by saying I would just not everything, and not all the time, and not all the way to the end of each event. I'd just pop in and have a look, just to say I'd seen it. Who else watched the opening ceremony? Richard, MDA87, Esther. Did you watch the opening ceremony? I thought the drone bit was pretty cool, and the fact that they brought in those in the stadium. They brought in the Olympic rings, and the Olympic rings had been made out of wood obtained from trees that had been planted as seeds at the 1964 Olympics. I thought that was pretty cool. I prefer the Summer Olympics, I think, Nancy. I mean, I don't mind skiing and that sort of business and bobsleigh run. Just seems to be less going on the Winter Olympics. Is that a working? No, it's actually, Richard. It's actually. I don't know if it works. It's actually a green screen. It's in a museum in Fukui Prefecture in northwest Japan, sort of the side up towards China, and they have a prefectural museum of cultural history there, and they have a shower room. Or a shower sort of area with all the sort of 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s rooms and objects. And this is in one of those rooms in a living room. I don't know whether it works, but I'm old enough to remember televisions like that. having televisions like that. I remember seeing my grandmother. I remember actually giving my age away. I think my parents sort of had me on their knee at my grandparents, and while they were all gathered around the television watching the moon landing. And then my mother took me outside and held me up and said, "Oh, look, that's the moon there." So I remember those televisions, and they worked then. But it took ages to warm up, though. Uh, no. ChanoMaception, no. No, if you watch my advert, you'll see what this room looks like. It's my spare room, which I have recently moved back into. I have periods. Several months I live in my spare room, and several months I go into my real bedroom. But my parents are due to visit after a 2-year hiatus because of COVID. They're now vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. Travel between Britain and Belgium is permitted again, I think. So they're on the way in September. So I generally move back into this room and get my own bedroom ready for them. Yes, it's worth watching, Nancy. It was a nice ceremony. I would fast forward through unless you have a favorite team, I would fast forward through the teams coming in. I noticed that went on for quite a while, 200 teams. So, but the actual sort of like bits in between with the dancing and the performances, that's nice. You're welcome, Richard. Yeah, I think most of the viewers know that this isn't real. Sometimes I have got my phone, and I did think about going downstairs to my real living room. Vote now. Do I get my gimbal, join myself to the show, and go down to my real living room again? Not quite sure. I mean, I'm quite enjoying the smooth jazz going on here and just sitting comfortably. But it was just for a bit of variety, because I've been talking non-stop for 37 minutes. God mighty. Oh dear. See, I don't talk all week. I save it all up. And there's lots of donkeys with hind legs falling off. Smooth jazz. Well, I may keep this smooth jazz thing going on. I did put off a dibble, though. I remember the other week. I said, "Oh, I'm bored now." And then you've got jazz going. He left. So it's not everybody's taste. Vote now. Do you like smooth jazz while you listen to me waffle on? I could change it. I could just go onto YouTube and I could have some hard rock. I could have some punk. I could have some rockabilly. I'm not quite sure that would go down a treat. Or classical. I mean, I'm just giving away all the kinds of music that I generally listen to. Mostly I listen to classical. It's like it's audio wallpaper for me, kind of like calming. Do I have any favorite Olympic teams? Not really. I mean, I sort of, if Japan wins something, I'd be quite sort of, cool. Belgium maybe also, I mean, I'm not particularly nationalistic, not being Belgian myself, but it's adopted country, so I know if they win something, and it's a small country. I did notice though in the opening ceremony, there were teams from all 200 countries, and some teams consisted of 1 or 2 people. So perhaps they deserve all the support they can get. But yeah, Belgium, and not sure about the UK. Don't know what kind of expat. I'm not your typical expat. Hello, not that much. Not that much. Everybody in chat who doesn't know, this is not that much from Frankfurt. Not that much Des. Sorry. Nancy, Perk, Richard, MDA87. Who else? Esther. This is not that much. A loyal viewer. Yes, I was just you've missed my holiday snaps. Not that much. You'll have to go back. From Frankfurt, yes. Grid reference. I bought this earlier in the week. It's doing well. I have one beer left, a Belgian IPA. Although my youngest son, I might leave that for my youngest son. He likes to have a beer in the evening. And he's, well, they're both coming round as usual this weekend. But they now that they're adults, they come round when they feel like it. They still come round, but when they were children, they came round at a specific time, and it was my duty then to be a dad and do the stuff. But now luckily they still come round, so I have some company. Oh, sorry, I just remembered. I have a sausage roll in the fridge. I went to my favorite cafe. I did a live stream from there once, I think, or I did my advert once from that cafe, Skippy's in my town. Australian chap opened a cafe. Does really nice meat pies. Australians are apparently very famous for meat pies. And I went. It's now my usual place, and I went for my tea yesterday, and I had a lovely salad prepared by his wife, and then a meat pie made by him, like chicken vol au vent meat pie, very nice. And as I was leaving, because I'm sort of quite now a regular customer, he said, "Oh, take this," So he gave me one of his very nice sausage rolls, which I'm going to heat up and have because I've not had any lunch. I need something to soak this wine up. You're out shopping for yakitori barbecue party. Oh, I'm jealous. Wafu dressing. What is wafu dressing? I almost read waifu there, but wafu dressing. I have to explain. You would love to come to Europe and see the sights. Yes, it's worth a trip. I'm now waiting to hear what wafu dressing is. I know what washoku is, which is Japanese cuisine, but wafu dressing. Not sure what that is. It's probably mirin, sake, shoyu, all mixed together and then sprinkled on. I have Japanese like a limited number of Japanese ingredients. I once had nori. I had to get a packet of nori, like it was dried seaweed sheets, and I made it I used it for the one dish that I made, and then it just stood in my cupboard for ages. And I thought, oh well. And so some days I would come home from work and just take out a sheet of dried seaweed and munch it. Hang on. I'm getting a comment in economics. Hang on. By fear of folk closing quickly on their loans. Grand design to keep the population. All right. Yeah, to be fair, waifu dressing would sell particularly well. Yes, sort of people who buy those like cushions with a like anime figure on them, sort of thing. Soy sauce, rice vinegar, yeah. Roasted sesame oil. I've got that. No, I've got sesame oil. I've got sesame seeds, grated garlic and onion. That sounds very nice, actually. I'm now waiting for the remainder of Richard's comment to see whether my knowledge of English 18th century history is up to it. So Nancy, if you're still there, Nancy, at some point, possibly, perhaps next month, when Mindy's mom, Night Rider's gal, and Cobrat are all up for it, we can do Mod Squad 2. So I'll be on, maybe in touch on Discord for you about that. To keep them fearful, they also noted the value of two-party system, keep them distracted over things of no importance. Machiavellianism in terms of yes, how to keep the population under control. Type the rest, Richard. Well, yes. I used to work for the National Trust in England for at Wordsworth's House in the Lake District in England. So at that time, I sort of read quite a lot about the Romantic period and early, sort of late 18th and early 18th, 19th century English, social structures and so on. And I've forgotten it all, basically. So probably I have no idea. I have books downstairs that I can consult on that. An Open University book from the 1970s on revolutions, and familiar with sort of like the American and the French and the revolutions and all that business, and how it affected British politics. Here we are, 18th century politics and bossa nova going on that side of NoChaNoMa. You didn't expect that, did you? I like to keep you on your toes. And there's bird song going on, exotic bird song in the background of this music, kind of disconcerting. It's nice though. You're always on your toes. Hey, Radri. Okay, Radri, former American expat in Tokyo. Richard, MDA 87. Nancy Yon. Who else have we got from America? If you're still there, Ty. This is Radri. Radri, sort of YouTuber of the first hour from way back in the day, who's always on his toes. Go and check his channel out. There's not much on it, but you get then links to his Twitch where things happen. Mostly Sonic the Hedgehog happens. Radri from the Eric Surf 6 videos. Yep, that's... You have plantar fasciitis. Okay. Can somebody look that up on Wikipedia for me and tell me what it is? Oh, yeah, and Radri. Hi, Kiki. Just in case. Not much. There's 100. Yes, but it's current, active. I can't talk. I think my last video is from like 2 months ago. On my old channel, I have two channels just to confuse everybody. I have my channel where I do my adverts and occasionally do videos, and I have this where I'm on every week. Prolific. No, it's quality over quantity. That's it, isn't it? Yes. That's what we tell ourselves. And then we look at people who've got like DSLRs and fancy editing and everything, and we go, Oh dear. A moment of silence while I think of things to say. Yeah, you missed all the exciting stuff, Radri. It's just my holiday snaps. What kind of wine am I drinking? It's a good question. It's a Californian, quite nice. It's a Ruby Cabernet. So I think it's probably blended. It's blended rather nicely. Ruby Cabernet, crossbred between Cabernet Sauvignon and Carignan, a typical Californian grape. Serve at room temperature. Well, it's certainly room temperature here. It's quite warm, actually. I did have last night at the cafe a Semillon from Australia, white wine. Apparently, my newfound white wine knowledge is that Semillon grapes are often used in blends. But this particular vineyard in Australia has decided to go full on and produce wines exclusively from the Semillon grape. Never heard of it before. The owner came up and said, I've got a new white wine. It's Semillon. Yeah. Okay. And I tasted it. And it was rather good. So there you go. Try Semillon wine from the Semillon grape. I can recommend it. Cyrillic script. And I thought, I was off my head. It's red as well. Ruby Cabernet gives it away, really. So this is me easing myself back into being on the show after I felt guilty, actually, slightly guilty last week for not wandering about in the Ardennes with the old gimbal, taking you around with me. But I was with my sons, and I remember the year before I did a live stream from the Ardennes with them in it as we went for a walk, and it kind of interrupted the walk. I was like talking to you lot and trying to sort of do the walk with my sons at the same time. So this year I decided just to do the walk with my sons, which is why there wasn't a live stream. And I'm just getting back into the groove. I've got this. Yes. I've been going non-stop for nearly an hour. So it's I'm a highly trained live stream YouTuber. Yeah, after 8 years, you would think so, wouldn't you? But gone are the days where I can put on a silly hat and sunglasses and talk insane nonsense. That doesn't seem to cut it these days anymore. Hang on. Man on a small screen, that emoji with the thumbs up guy really looks like he's flipping the finger. Okay. Oh, so you're watching on your phone? I often wonder whether I'm on a 4K big screen. Just imagining myself in someone's living room on 4K. Hello. Yeah. Usually, Richard. Yes, they do say sort of contains sulfites, which I presume mean the phosphates. Usually, the headache, if I consume too much, it's from consuming too much at once. That gives me the headache. Generally, I've had about 3 glasses now. That'll do me for the day, and this little bit will be for Sunday. And I generally don't get a headache from it now, so I'm all right. Thanks, Nancy. Yes, yeah. I mean, my youngest son kind of expressed sort of wasn't too keen on the idea. I don't entirely agree, but What do I know of it? I just know, Richard, that often sulfites. I mean, this is what you've got, organic wines with no sulfites. I've never really drunk enough of either in a great quantity to experiment and find out personally. It's always better. It's always better, I find, to as the Buddha said, if you don't know, don't and haven't tried it, don't don't believe in it until you try it. It's one of the few things the Buddha said that made any sense to me. That sort of made me respect him a little bit. There we are, the Buddha and sulfites. So yes, I don't really know much about it, other than that I don't get headaches from wine or beer, but that I do get quite tipsy after two glasses of Belgian beer and 4 glasses of wine. So I'm on the cusp at the moment. You would never tell. You could never tell. All right. Yes. This year on the Simon NoChaNoMa show, the drunk show and the non-drunk show, or the the organic show and the non-organic show. Simon NoChaNoMa with sulfites, Simon NoChaNoMa without sulfites. Oh dear! We'll be sliding off the chair. You would just see the Kui Prefectural Museum show a room, and just hear bossa nova music and me snoring or giggling on the floor or something. I can never do this with a guest. Well, that would be interesting. Yes, if I could get a guest on. I've done drinking shows before. I did it with Aussie Awesome and Tokyo Drew. So it's time again, perhaps, to try and get a famous YouTuber or J vlogger on and drunk together. I shall have to message them. Give me a break, man. Can hold a bit of liquor. So I should maybe. He's not been on my show in the 3 years that I've done it. I mean, he was on loads of times on the old show, but I haven't actually asked him to be on this one. Maybe I should ask him. Me and Victor getting wasted. Which one is your favourite guest? or Tokyo Drew or or Aussie 78? Victor is too busy. He's too busy being a dad, basically. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could always message him. See, I get get 2.5 Yards on again. Yeah, get Victor and Hiko. I'd be interested to see Hiko under the influence. I've seen Victor under the influence loads of times, but Hiko is very, proper. Being responsible. I don't know. He still chugs and rambles on his laundry videos after a few strong zeros. I can afford to be irresponsible, relatively, now that my children have grown up. Well, we've come to the end of my rambling. It seems, looking at the time. How about oh dear, no, Gary, No. Yeah, our Gary was pissed off with me because I went to Japan and he messaged me and I'd like, I'd talked to Victor about him and he said, he's, it can be a bit kind of edgy. So I didn't really connect with him on the times I went to Japan. And Gary got a bit pissed off because he used to pop into the, even appear on Three Old Dudes, my old show, and I kind of basically didn't engage with them at all. So not sure. Yeah, our Gary scares you. Yes, he was a former boxer from Yorkshire. He's about 6 foot odd, full beard, and a bit weird. Slight, I mean, seriously weird. Is it kind of like any English watchers? He's a rag and bone man in Japan. Man who goes around and collects stuff that people throw out into the street, and then sells it on and stuff. That's his living, and YouTubing a lot is a quite odd character. I mean, totally weird. Yeah. Bye, Esther. Sorry, I didn't see. You have to go. You got to go. Bye bye. You got to do some shopping. I'll do that tomorrow. He's a nice person. I mean, he's kind of a nice person, from what I've seen. But yeah, kind of like Radri says, he's kind of like, you're not quite sure where you would stand. Turn of a die could dislike you intensely. Not sure. No. The weird guy was the one with the horse teeth. Not quite sure. Well, there was this German guy that was sometimes on Victor's show or channel. It was a transvestite and cycled around Japan. I don't know. I'm not quite sure whether that's the one you were meaning. Yes, back in the day, in the J-Vlog days, when everybody was a bit weird. Oh, yes, it was the same American Jew who was always making cringe comments about his wife. No, don't know. Yeah, J-vloggers. Yeah, 2 camps, J-vloggers. Cringy weirdos and people who got their shit together. So yeah, it could have been one of the former. Yeah, Mark, the crazy German cyclist. Yeah, it came across all right on Victor's channel. I thought, sort of, apart from the fact that he wore mini skirts, other than that, he seems sort of okay-ish. Ryan Boundless. I used to sort of like chat with him, kind of. Yeah, Ryan Boundless. Yeah, he started out, one of the first people I subscribed to was Ryan Boundless when he was doing sort of like Japanese lessons sort of thing on his channel, and then I watched his channel and got like drawn into the sort of like his life, and then it got weird. Yeah, he'd probably never do it now. He's got no remote interest in Japan. He's like in Africa somewhere. It was okay. It was kind of okay still when he went to Mexico to his late father's place, and there he was still sort of like okay mentally. But then he went to Africa, and it was kind of weird. Yeah, there we go. Holiday snaps to Ryan Boundless with wine, with like wine assessment and bossa nova. So that's been today's live stream. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's not your typical Japan vlog live stream. Next week it will be. next week will be sort of slightly more Japan themed and slightly more sensible and hopefully entertaining with Ingrid, the Japanese friend, as we go to the market in Japan, in Holland's most populous Japanese town. And that will be next week, and I've got to make an advert for it. So, did I watch the opening ceremony? Yes, I did. I quite enjoyed it, actually. And then I read about what it was supposed to have been when Abe had originally proposed it. But I found this one actually better. I'm not into sort of Watanabe, sort of the rather sort of generously proportioned Japanese lady, and I'm not really into Akira. I mean, Akira's okay, but I mean, to make the entire opening ceremony themed around that was no, not. I quite like this one. So yeah, what was it? Well, what was it supposed to be? It was supposed to be they were going to have like that. I can't remember her first name. Like she's a famous Japanese sort of tarental due to her size, but she was going to host it sort of, and they were going to have Super Mario appear, and the whole thing was going to be based on Akira, because in the Akira manga from the 80s, there was a pandemic that caused the collapse of Tokyo in 2019, something like that. So that was all going to be very themed, and they were going to have Akira come into the stadium on his motorbike and all kinds of like visuals and stuff, which never happened. Yeah, Akira themed. But I like this one. This was more traditional. I enjoyed that. And I quite like the drones as well. That was quite spectacular with the globe. So yes, if you haven't seen the Olympics opening ceremony, go click on the highlights. And don't watch all. I mean, I watched it last night with all the teams coming in, but that was enjoyable with my friend from Tokyo while we watched simultaneously. But 200 teams, quite a lot. So yeah, watch the highlights. That's a good idea. So yes, basically that's the end of the show, coming to a grinding halt. And hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, new viewers, MDA87, if you're still here, Richard, and Esther's gone, and not that much, Radri, Nancy. Who else was here? Perk. I have to have a look. Yes, I'm not over inundated with viewers, which is good. I can interact, which is good. But thank you for joining. Thank you for keeping me company. I hope I entertained you. And next week I shall hopefully entertain you even more. Watch out for the advert, and see you all again next week. Thanks for joining. I'm now going to sort of try and lie down and not get a headache, and enjoy the remainder of my day. And hopefully you will too. Thanks all. Bye for now. End broadcast. I have to click this button, apparently. See you, everybody.